Basement room. Years ago, my family went on vacation in Cape Cod. We rented a small house to stay in for 2 weeks. There was a kitchen, a living room, and a bathroom. The bedrooms were up on the second floor. There was a basement downstairs with a washer, dryer, a sofa, and television. On the first night, we were all awakened by a terrible scream from my sister's bedroom. My dad burst through her door and turned the light on. He found her sitting up in bed, screaming and crying. My parents sat with her and comforted her until she finally calmed down enough to tell them what had scared her. She said that she had been awakened in the middle of the night by a horrible stench. When she opened her eyes, her entire bedroom was soaked in blood from top to bottom. There was blood all over the floor, bloody handprints on the wall, and blood spatters all over the ceiling. We thought that she just might have been having a nightmare, but she refused to go back in her bedroom. She stayed in our parents' room for the rest of the trip. Another evening, my mother was cooking dinner in the kitchen upstairs. My father had to run out on some kind of errand in the nearby town. My sister and I were in the basement room, watching TV, when all of a sudden the light bulb popped. The TV went off, leaving us in complete darkness. The basement was unfinished. It had some old stone walls and a floor, and it was a little bit of a creepy place too. For a few seconds we froze, not really knowing what to do. Then we started to smell something awful. It was a terrible stench, and when it hit our noses we felt like we were nauseous. It smelled like rotting flesh. The smell quickly grew worse and worse. Then we started to hear scratching. Something seemed to be scratching at the floor, the walls. We screamed and began scrambling around in the pitch black, trying to find the door. Eventually, we managed to get it open and ran upstairs, yelling for our mom. We kept telling her about this disgusting smell. We heard something scratching and scraping around on the floor down there. My mother eventually agreed to go down in the basement, replace the bulb, and to check out the source of the smell. She took a flashlight, grabbed a bulb, and disappeared into the basement. We waited for her at the top of the steps. We expected her to return quickly. She was down there for an eternity. Suddenly, we saw her come out of the darkness and come running up the stairs. She slammed the basement door behind her and bolted it as fast as she could. She turned to us. Her face was completely drained of color. Her eyes were wide with fear, and she said, "I don't want you going down there again." Then, she went into the kitchen and called the police. We overheard the conversation on the phone, and we kind of managed to figure out that there had been someone down in the basement, or at least she said she had seen somebody down there. As we waited for the police to come, we huddled together in the living room, staring at the basement door, thinking that any moment that we could expect to hear somebody banging through trying to break it down. My mother refused to tell us what she had seen. When the police arrived, my mother greeted them at the front door. She ushered them inside, unbolted the basement door, and they went down into the darkness with their flashlights and guns drawn. They searched the entire basement, but found nothing. There was no way out of the basement. No windows, no doors. Whatever was down there would have come up through the basement door. After the police left, my mother finally revealed what she had seen down there. As she spoke, she became very still, very quiet. She said she was changing the bulb downstairs, and she began to smell this terrible thing, the thing we described to her. She started to hear the faint scratching noises. She had shown her flashlight around the room and suddenly caught the sight of something crouched between the washer and the dryer. She said it was a man. He was crouched on all fours. His clothes were tattered. His hair was a tangly mess. His face didn't look quite human. It was twisted in this weird expression. In a split second, he looked up at my mother. His eyes reflected the beam of the flashlight, and then he simply crawled forward and disappeared. She said he went through the wall. When my mother saw him simply vanish, she dropped the flashlight and ran. After that, none of us were allowed to go in the basement. We kept the door locked and bolted. Every night, we slept in our parents' room. We locked that door too. We cut our holiday short a couple of days early and drove home. We just didn't want to be there. A little bit of a short story today, guys. I am currently recording at a separate location from my normal one. I don't know if you could tell by the quality of audio or not. So let me know what you think down below. Thank you for watching. Please like and share, and let's keep our fingers crossed so we can get this channel remonetized. Have a good one.